plaintiff, Ayanna Cruz, met the defendant at church, and they bonded over bad TV, celebrity gossip, and the fact that they were both involved in same-sex relationships. However, Ayanna is suing him today for an unpaid bill and lost wages because he caused her to be fired. Defendant Israel Adekunmi admits that he and Ayanna were close friends, but he eventually realized she was a con artist who cuts off her friends and family when she's in a relationship. He's countersuing for a utility bill and lost wages because she caused him to be fired.
All rise. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding. You may now be seated.
Start with you.
All right, so in 2015, I met Israel at a church convocation. We were both a part of an affirming church movement, which meant that anybody was welcome. We're both same gender loving, so it was easy for us to get along with one another. We bonded over watching ratchet TV, gossiping, drinking wine.
What type of ratchet TV?
Love and hip hop, housewives.
Atlanta or New York?
Both.
Both.
New York is not as ratchet as Atlanta.
No, Atlanta.
They doing too much.
A little bit more.
They're the most. Go ahead.
So that's basically how we got really close. And I consider him a brother to me. We called each other brother and sister, not Israel and Ayanna.
Tell me about the affirming church. A lot of folks don't know what that is.
Yes, so an affirming church just means that you affirm who you are, and we affirm who you are as well, meaning anybody is welcome, whether you're LGBT.
What church is that?
At the time, it was Unity Fellowship. Now I go to MCC Baltimore.
Well, we're glad to hear that there's some churches out here that affirm relationships and self-identity of folks without condemning them for what they believe to be scripture. All right, let's hear from you, sir. Give me some background.
Well, like she said, we called each other brother and sister. I thought we had a relationship that no one could come between.
Were you the brother or the sister?
I was the brother, Your Honor.
Oh.
I was the brother.
Y'all know I can play because I am so gay friendly. Everybody knows that, so I can play with it.
Yes, Your Honor. Later on, I realized that she had some con artist ways. She was a bed hopper, and also that she couldn't be trusted.
How so? How did you find those things out?
I saw her use a company credit card for making purchases for personal items.
How do you know they were personal?
Because I seen when she did it.
But how do you know it wasn't for use at the workplace?
It wasn't. She took all that stuff to Maryland when she left Pennsylvania.
And then took it back?
No, sir.
How do you know? You steal from your job?
Not at all.
I didn't think so. They don't teach you that at Unity.
Go ahead. She goes in and out of relationships. When she gets in a relationship, she cuts off her friends and her family. And then when she gets out of them, it's...
Because y'all gossip about her.
When she gets out of them, it's sorry, not sorry.
What's that?
Like, I'm sorry, but I'm really not sorry because I'm going to do it again.
That is, go with her partner at the expense of the time she spends with her friends and family.
Right.
You cut your family and friends off when you get a new girlfriend?
If the need be.
Why? Why would there be a need to cut them off?
When you grow, not everybody grows with you.
That don't mean you can't have them over.
No, absolutely. Sometimes maybe, depending on how they act.
Okay, they might be ignorant. You don't want nobody over there acting ignorant.
Not at all.
Since you don't want y'all over there acting ignorant.
Right.
Go ahead. Tell me about the bill and the lost wages, ma'am.
Israel moved down to Maryland in December. He wasn't supposed to come down till January, but he surprised me in December and came down. And then in the middle of January, I moved out of the apartment and he took it over completely. He was responsible for the rent, utilities, everything. I moved into a completely different apartment. February, he paid the rent less $200 some odd. And March, he didn't pay anything at all again. He didn't have any intentions on paying. We haven't had many conversations after March the 12th about him paying or not.
And when you've asked, what did he say the last time?
My next paycheck.
Okay, let me hear from you, sir.
On March the 12th, I moved down, as she said, in December. I did not officially take ownership of the apartment until around January the 15th or something of that nature. We also decided that I would be responsible for take over the apartment. The utility bill that I'm suing for is for the back end because I put it in her name. She said that her girlfriend had messed up her credit, so I allowed her to put the utilities in her name. I told her that I could not swing this. It was never in my next check. I could not swing this. This apartment is too expensive for me.
All right, so did you leave immediately time you felt that it was too expensive for you?
I left the day that I got fired, Your Honor.
You cut your family and friends off when you get a new girlfriend?
If the need be.
Why? Why would there be a need to cut them off?
Sometimes maybe, depending on how they act.
Okay, they might be ignorant. You don't want nobody over there acting ignorant.
Not at all.
Says you don't want y'all over there acting ignorant.
Right.
Plaintiff Ayanna Cruz is suing her former friend, and he claims Ayanna is a con artist who cuts off her friends and family when she's in a relationship.
The amount you're suing for is from the time he stayed there, correct?
Yes, sir.
So why wouldn't you want to pay for the time that you stayed there, not perhaps for future, but for the time that you lived there?
She told me that I would only have to pay for the amount for January, which was half the amount.
You have evidence of that? Because she's not agreeing to that, are you?
Not at all.
Did you say that? Do you have any evidence of her saying that?
I have a witness statement from another manager at the job. We worked for a property management company. So I asked the owner if I could move to a cheaper apartment that was on a property that they had consumed, because the property that we were staying at, the rent was $910. He said he would give me the property at the company for $600. So I kept having this conversation with her. She didn't want me to leave the apartment.
And she tied you up, put you in the closet. No, you've been out there.
No,
you've been out the closet. She tied you up. And kept you from leaving. Tell me, she made you stay there.
She wanted me to stay there.
Lost wages, how does he owe you for that?
Okay, so I got him a job as my assistant manager at the company I was working for. Everything was fine up until he didn't pay rent. On March the 12th, we got into an argument at work. My boss came down to try and diffuse the situation and asked Israel to leave for the day. Instead of Israel leaving peacefully for the day, he called my boss a con artist first. And then my boss told him, okay, well, you're not leaving for the day, you're leaving for good. So he was fired from the job on March the 12th. When I found out that Israel was trying to move into one of our apartments that has nothing to do with the one he was living in, I did go to my boss because me and him had an agreement, me and Israel, which had nothing to do with my boss and him. So I went to my boss and let him know what the situation was. And my boss agreed that he should do his due diligence to me and complete the contract that we had. And then he might consider him for an apartment, but he wasn't honest with my boss about why he wanted to move or anything.
Okay, so how did you lose wages?
So on April the 17th, Israel sent 2 emails from his old work email, which he should not have had any access to once he was fired from the job. He CC'd my boss and all my coworkers on it. And basically he told my boss to watch out for me, and that he told my boss that I called him a crackhead, a meth head, that he was sleeping with the other employees. He quoted a few Bible scriptures in that email. In the second email, he told me to stop going to my pastors about our issues and that I should tell the truth about everything that's going on.
Okay, but why did you send a letter to the boss?
I did it because she did it.
How did she do it?
When she attacked me in the office, I have witness statements for that. She said that she was going to whoop my tail. She said that she wanted me out of her apartment.
And so for that, you interfered with her job and
sir.
attempted to have her fired by spreading malicious statements around.
It was the truth.
Well, it was malicious and it wasn't anyone's business. That was private information that no one else was entitled to. That was between the two of you. When you release it to others, the effect could be, as it was, you were fired.
2 days after he handed me my last check.
And so that's a form of violation of privacy. Your counterclaim is for what? Utility bill and lost wages.
Yes, because I allowed her to get the BG&E in her name because she said that her girlfriend messed up her credit and she wasn't able to.
Okay, was it paid? The bill paid?
No, sir.
Ma'am, did he put it in his name for you?
No.
It's been in her name, I believe, since 2017. I didn't move to Maryland.
Well, how does she owe you if it's in her name?
It's in my name. I put it in my name for her.
And she just said that's not the case. Ma'am, you just told me that's not the case.
I didn't move to Baltimore until officially December.
Basically, he told my boss to watch out for me, and that he told my boss that I called him a crackhead, a meth head, that he was sleeping with the other employees. He told me to stop going to my pastors about our issues and that I should tell the truth about everything that's going on.
Okay, but why did you send a letter to the boss?
I did it because she did it.
Plaintiff Ayanna Cruz is suing her former friend, and he claims Ayanna is a con artist who cuts off her friends and family when she's in a relationship.
And the outstanding bills for Israel, ma'am, and what's the address?
Area Park apartment.
It's in his name, and he owes a bill of $731. You told me it's not in his name. You said it's in yours. Do you have evidence that it's in yours?
No, I didn't bring my old utility.
All right, well, he brought his, and so I have to go with the evidence I have in front of me. Lost wages, how does she owe you for that?
For sabotaging my job, and I actually got fired because the owner told me that she was more valuable to him than I was. Yes, and I have my witness.
So you got fired for passing that mess around, interfering with her work, period. And I'm going to grant you your judgment for the bill and for the lost wages, but I do believe you owe him for this bill. So $731 is your judgment, and yours is $2,778. Have a good day.
It's unfortunate it ended like this.
I have nothing to say.